podcast from the American Council of Engineering Companies, and today I'm very pleased to be joined by Elizabeth Stolfus, who is in town today with the ACEC Research Institute, but we're actually talking about something completely different, and it's an initiative that she's undertaken at her firm to help deal with a lot of the social strife, honestly, that's going on in today's world. It's kind of the curse, may you live in interesting times, and without question, we do. And, no matter where you are in the country, communities are dealing with issues that, go beyond the work, the core purpose of their firms, but they still, especially with engineers, I think, want to do something to improve the communities that they live in. And Elizabeth has taken it upon herself to start an initiative that we want to talk about today. And Elizabeth, thank you for being with us on the program.
Thank you for having me here today.
So let's start off for those of us in the audience who might not be familiar with you. Where's your firm? What do you guys do? And tell us about how the Moving Forward initiative kind of sparked in your mind.
Absolutely. My firm is Stolfus Associates. We are a transportation and engineering consulting firm in Greenwood Village, Colorado, which is in the Denver area. Mm-hmm. We spend most of our time working on the public side of the transportation question and trying to make communities safer and traffic work better, and really provide the kind of infrastructure that lets people get where they need to go by whichever means they want to go there.
Yeah. Essentially, it's really that question of, we talk about equity, right? But it's that social equity in transportation, in allowing people, because that's really the way that people can increase opportunity, economic advancement, improve quality of life is through mobility and breaking down the barriers to mobility.
Absolutely. When people can get from home to school and home to work and home to recreation and not require only one mode of travel, that opens up a lot of possibilities for a lot of people and makes people really have independent lives where they can control their outcomes. Yeah.
And then, really looking around you, and as a leader, how large is your firm?
We're about 20 people.
About 20 people. But it's, the impact that you have on the communities that you serve are far, beyond 20 people's worth, right? When you do a project, you're helping thousands and thousands of people.
Yes. Sometimes we have the opportunity to make a space where parents can feel good that their kids can stand at the bus stop and not be at risk of being hit by traffic or splashed by a puddle or any number of those other things that, kind of make a parent's heart kind of pause. We also have opportunities to help people go on a bike ride with their family and end up at the pizza shop or get a scoop of ice cream all on the same day. And maybe some of them are riding in a bike lane, some of them are riding on the sidewalk or trail because their abilities are different. And I think that that's an amazing part of what we get to do every day.
Yeah, and that really is the core of the mission of engineering, right? Is to take something that exists and improve it, or to notice a challenge, something that's not there, and design a way to bridge a gap. And looking at everything that's going around in society today, which, you just name your cause, name your issue that people are dealing with outside of the professional sphere of design work or, the actual project work. As a leader, how did the idea spark to try to, move beyond that and try to have an initiative that helped the community outside of the normal work that you guys do at the firm?
I noticed that my team was feeling a lot of stress and anxiety, and it felt like the hits kept coming. So many things in our world are kind of challenging right now.
And nonstop. It seems like it just, there's no breath. There's something else.
Absolutely. And it definitely felt like people really had the sense that I keep wishing for something different. I keep hoping for something different, and we keep getting more of the same. And, how am I supposed to feel like it's enough that we made a path from someplace to someplace else?
Yeah.
How is that supposed to be enough? And so I didn't feel very well equipped to help with that question. I was having that same question myself and realized that maybe I needed to learn about some things. So I spent a good bit of time learning about bias and racism and systemic injustices and lots of those things that are background to what we're observing in our society, and realized that I wanted to do something that would help people make a difference with a small investment.
Yeah.
And I thought it would make sense to really celebrate Martin Luther King Day by having a day of community service. But I didn't really know how to put that kind of event together.
Yeah.
And ultimately, that ended up becoming a whole program that's educational for people and also includes volunteer opportunities to do things within our community. They're low barrier to entry kinds of activities, and provide some paid time off for people to go volunteer wherever else they might want to, so that we could remove as many barriers as possible to letting people feel like they were able to give to the kinds of outcomes we want to see.
How was it received by your team when it was brought up?
Initially, I think there was some skepticism, and I think that that's real. I think that we've had a lot of well-intentioned things that haven't really made a difference.
Yeah.
But over the last year, I think people really look forward to the opportunities, both the educational ones and the volunteering ones, because really it does make a difference. Even just among our team, I think everyone feels good after we have an education session or after we have a volunteer time, because we know that we did something that mattered to somebody else.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I could imagine it at first is kind of skepticism because it's something outside of the traditional thing that you expect from a firm, right? You always think about, okay, let's do something positive for the community, and sometimes the idea sparks, but it doesn't go anywhere. So the fact that you were actually able to carry it through, I mean, how given the fact that you've kind of developed this program now surrounding Martin Luther King Day and kind of as a day of community service, I mean, how do you want this program to kind of grow or evolve over time?
Well, I would definitely like to see a more expansive set of community investments that we can join into. We've tried really hard to choose things that are easy to access and don't take a lot of time. But I would love to see us find some things that are a bigger, more long-term investment, so that we can amplify our effects outside of the office and give people really a way to come back again and again, and not just 4 times a year.
What are some of the examples of some of the results that you've seen so far?
Yeah, well, I think some of the best results I've seen really are about conversations. We invited Shantara McBride to come talk to our team about racism and how to respond to things like microaggressions in a way that honors the human dignity of every person. Most people are kind-hearted and well-intentioned, and yet oftentimes a lot of people say and do things that they don't appreciate hurt other people. And if they knew better, they would behave differently. She provided some real actionable ideas for how do you let a small thing be a small thing, but don't just let it go. And I think that was really great. One of the things I liked most about it is one of our employees asked her directly, what gives you hope that relationships between people can improve in this country? And I paused a little bit because I was like, this is one of those kinds of questions. But she very skillfully said, rooms like this, where you feel safe to ask me that question, that's what makes me think that things can be better. And for me, that was really beautiful. I think the other big example I have is we did a trail cleanup on one of the trails a lot of us walk on during lunchtime or when we need a break from every day. And I was amazed at the amount of trash we were able to pick up, but every single person that uses that trail is affected positively because we took an hour out of our day to just clean it up. And it was great.
How has it improved morale or the connection between employees at the firm?
I think it's made morale even better. I think, it's made it easier for people to be their whole selves and to feel okay that someone might find out whatever they're going to do when they leave the office. And I think that that's really amazing and important.
Yeah, it's the community building within. It's the leadership part of it. It's creating an environment where people can come to the office and know that they're doing their work, but it kind of extends beyond that. There's that camaraderie, there's that feeling of belonging, which is that last part of the DEI and B. It's like, what does the belonging mean? It means that you can come to a place and actually feel that you're not just doing a job, but you're actually part of an organization. You're part of something larger. So that's I think a good offshoot from the initiative, I would imagine.
Absolutely. And the idea and the appreciation that we lift each other up, not just for a project deadline, but for our everyday experience. I think that that's a really important big deal. And I think everyone is more comfortable today than they were a year ago with the idea that I have, I guess, invisible identities that I get to choose whether or not I share with you. But knowing that you're accepting me as I am is really important.
It seems that we always hear about the changing workforce and the nature of, the college students today and the engineers of tomorrow and what they're looking for. From a business angle, from a leadership angle, how important do you think this is for your firm in looking towards, employee acquisition and retention into the future, having something like this in place?
I think it's extremely important. I think that the employees of the future, and frankly, a lot of the ones we already have, are looking for a place to spend their time that makes a difference in the world every single day, and they know what that difference is.
Yeah.
And I think, my training as an engineer was about making the world physically more accessible or better. It wasn't really about how do we connect all of the parts together to make it holistically better. And I think that that's what our future engineers are looking for, and something that we have to figure out how to deliver. And I think this is one of those steps in that direction.
Yeah, and I guess, just to put a finer point on it, what would you say to, the firms out there that are like, we don't have to do any of this stuff. We're an engineering firm. We go after projects. We do the projects. They speak on their own. That's what we need to do. From your experience, how does engaging in, I guess, the softer side of, corporate leadership and programming things like this, benefited the firm? And what do you think firms might be missing out on if they just close themselves off to programs like this?
Well, I certainly think that engineers that are talking to each other and collaborating with each other on hard topics are more creative and come up with better ideas and actually produce better, more complete solutions for the infrastructure that we're offering into the world. And I also think connected, satisfied, independent employees provide better work products on time, and they're able to give their whole selves to getting something done when it needs to be done well.
Thanks for sharing the story. I really appreciate it. These are the kind of stories that we love to hear about what our member firms are doing, especially in this area, because it is truly, like you said, it seems like you can't catch a breath. There's always something else. And it seems if you can create the environment where people are more comfortable, the speed at which we have our next issue or outrage is going to be dampened by the fact that you already have an environment that is kind of prepped to kind of accept that and deal with it. So I appreciate you coming on and telling us about it.
Well, thank you so much for having me today. I'm glad to be here. And I think this is important stuff.
Absolutely. I look forward to talking to you about more as the program develops, and we'll catch up in the spring convention.
Sounds great.
Fantastic. And again, this has been an episode of Engineering Influence podcast from the American Council of Engineering Companies, and we will see you next time.